features.
Okay, it's time for us to start. Thank you for coming at the end of the day. Thank you for showing up. I always worried that no one will be here. This is a talk on what the state of VR was. This originally was a single-man talk for me years ago, but it's much more better to have a moderated talk so we can bring a whole variety of interests. We're going to be about 40 minutes of talking about some general questions that we're going to cover. Then we'll open up to the audience and we'll take questions. And chances are afterwards we'll be willing to talk with you informally too. So please come up. We are all up here because not only is it some of our jobs, but it's all of our passion. We all like VR, and we hope the best for it. Why don't we introduce ourselves, starting at the very end, coming this way.
Hello, everybody. My name is Charles Maloney. Some of you may know me as Dr. Oolong. I'm the department head for VR Zone. This is my 4th MAGFest. I've been volunteering every year in the VR Zone over there. Again, if you have not checked it out, please do. It closes at 3, so unfortunately, you might have to leave the panel just a tiny bit early to get over there. Can't do that, exactly. Sorry, next year.
Lock the doors.
We'll be back.
Hey, I'm Alan Davies. I'm a VR software engineer for Leidos, currently doing air traffic control software. But I have done, in the past, I worked for Gannett USA Today doing AR on their app, and also worked for the Evil Electronic Arts on some video games.
Hi, this is Craig Yu. I'm a professor at George Mason University, and I direct the Virtual Reality and Extended Reality Lab at Arlington, and we do all sorts of creative projects using the latest AI and VR, AR techniques, trying to envision what will be the future. And I also run a VR production studio, a kind of a startup, envisioning how we can use AI for creating different types of VR training, educational apps. Yeah.
My name is John Nelson. I'm a former software developer, AI software developer, VR software developer, and all kinds of other software developer types. I've been in the industry for over 40 years now, but I'm retired and very happily retired. So.
I'm Hunter Dyer. I'm an assistant professor of immersive media at Chatham University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 4-year undergraduate degree teaching design and development in VR, AR, and also simulation, exhibit design, interactive experiences, anything for the senses.
All right, my name is Connie Tang. I am an, this is on, right? No?
Try this one.
Okay.
You really have to get close to it.
Dang. All right. My name is Connie Tang. I am an illustrator and general content creator online. For the past 9 years or so, I have developed an augmented reality book project on and off. It was published sometime last year in October, and around a week ago was pretty much the last general update. I also hold a Master's of Arts in Multimedia.
My name is Steve Sheets. I'm the moderator of this CATS group of people, and I am a software developer of all types: mobile, desktop, mainframe, VR, augmented reality. I move around, and AR is one of my, and AR is augmented reality, VR is one of my main interests, and I've been running these panels now for several years. Let's talk about this year. This year, in some ways, has been wonderful, and in some ways has been boring. What has been the most innovative use of VR, AR you have seen in the past year that has come up, and why? Oh, that's silence. This isn't good. I think the use of tracking of the hand without a device has made a really big impact. We've been seeing it for everyone, from smart glasses to AR, the VR devices. It frees you from not having to have the controller in your hand.
Maybe not available yet, but the Orion EMG, the bracelet that's going to the Orion EMG bracelet that's going to hopefully improve the fidelity
Explain
of all
what
that
that
tracking. So Project Orion is what when Meta made a headset and it was too expensive, so they didn't actually release it. They just said, look what we can do. Part of that for the control and the input side, which has been maybe the biggest challenge in VR over the past few years at a consumer level. Like, we have great displays, we have great audio systems with the Vision Pro and the Index respectively, but we don't have great user input, and that's been a challenge. We're all just holding like Xbox controllers that have been cut in half, and I hate it. Logitech has the MX Ink stylus that came out this year is exciting. But any actual movement in the input side of things is significant. Slime trackers getting more available for everyone doing VR chat. I see all the nods. So Meta worked on a bracelet that does electromyography and galvanic skin response and who knows what else elements, and it can like detect even small movements of your thumb along, and it doesn't need to be in line of sight of the cameras, and all the demos seem to be very compelling, yet none of us here have tried it yet because it's not actually out. So
Actually, I have, but that's different.
Well, I'm going to widen that criteria to include AI, multimedia, ChatGPT, Grok, and the other AI generative programs, because I think that that's the most visual and immediate gain in productivity and reproduction of
For
reality.
generating content?
Generating content.
Okay.
You can issue a prompt to one of these apps and have a complete video scene set up for you. And it can be used as a prototype for your own ideas, or it can be used to refine your ideas via the prompts. And that also includes voice command.
Yes.
So you and a number of these projects are trying to do this in real time. Currently, you have to issue a prompt. It thinks about it a while. It grinds for about 2 minutes, and then it comes back with a scene produced for you. However, the holy grail is going to be real-time command, so that you can voice command these models that you've created on the fly, and they'll sing and dance and do whatever you want to do. That hasn't actually appeared yet, to my knowledge, but I think that's...
There's actually two parts to that. Voice is a much better voice input, which is
Right.
another big thing. AIs with large language models being able to understand what you describe, because the English language and most human languages are very ambiguous about what you're saying, so it actually parses it out. Then it goes out and generates it. Those two together.
However, in English language, when you're talking with human beings, there's an expectation of what they're going to say and what they mean when they've said it.
Right.
And that shortens the time frame between speech. I've been told that I need to speak into the microphone. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Yeah, I think the sliders on this mixer need a little adjustment. So there's the expectation between what someone has said and the context of what they're saying it in, and what the meaning is. Is it a command? Is it a request? That's where AI comes in. But to address Hunter's point about voice command, that's one of the projects they're working on now, and it's going to be a giant leap forward. But there's also the real-time understanding of the utterances and what to display in response to it. And
Any other ideas of things that they see as new? What the past year has? Keep going down.
Yeah. So I'm from academia. I think from the research side, I see increasing use of AI and LLMs in the analysis part and also in the content synthesis part, right? So for the analysis part, for example, for VR, AR apps, right? If you have a real world scene around the player, right? So you see increasing use of AI for doing all these sort of computer vision tasks like segmentation, object identification, recognition, this type of thing, which would be very useful input for the VR, AR applications later on. Well, so these ideas are not totally new, but I think now we are at a state that these algorithms are going to be more and more reliable, so you can get pretty clean input based on the processing of these algorithms, which will be useful for the next step of the AR, VR applications. For example, if you have like AR storytelling experiences, right, the input needs to be cleaned up, right? So you have to be able to first recognize the objects in the scene, understand even the functionalities and affordances of objects in the scene in order to drive the story around it. So, having that clean state of input is very important, and I'm seeing more and more mature algorithms on that side. And also for the content synthesis side, so now you have, AI being able to generate content even in real time, right? So helping users with the creative process, right? So let's say if you have a AR app that helps people how to do interior design, right? So now with the LLMs, with the AI, user can interact with the AI to realize some ideas in seconds, right? So like this is something used to be very tedious if it has to be done all manually, but with the generative AI, this is increasingly becoming accessible. So that's how I see it.
Yeah, just to echo what Greg was saying, I think this past year in 2026, it's just gone from wow tech to more useful tech, like as a sign of VR maturity. The process of getting in has gotten better, and lighter headsets, better pass through, improved comfort.
So you would say that this past year has been a incremental improvement, not an innovative one. We've
That's
seen.
right. Yeah.
Okay, that's why consistently what I see also.
Considering Apple released a supposedly quite innovative product this year, that's
We will get to Apple Vision Pro slightly.
Was it this year or was it 2024?
did
Yeah.
they win that drop? Oh man, I don't
I
even
ju- I just
remember.
looked
Oh
it up.
no,
I'm just speeding up a little bit because I just looked it up on my phone.
I have a Vision Pro and I don't remember.
So,
How many people have an Apple Vision Pro? Thank you.
wow, okay. You guys got to be my friends because you got money.
I will say something is by far the most unbelievable augmented reality device and the most unbelievable non-game machine you've ever seen for actual real-world use, and we still don't have a killer app yet.
Yeah.
Could it be because of the lack of games that's why it's suppressing the popularity of it?
No, because we do have some games that are quite popular. It's just
No, it seems like the Apple Vision Pro is more like marketed as like for utility, if anything.
Yeah.
It's
Or-
like your own office space.
and they recognize the price is putting it outside most people's range.
Yeah.
The
it's
sweet
like-
part for the sweet price for VR is $399. That's what people are willing to pay, and unfortunately,
It-
yeah.
$5,000.
No, that's not that.
3,000.
Oh my goodness. Hopefully
Maybe
not.
500 is
Okay,
the
I
last
guess
number.
you guys lying to me.
That's like a used car right there.
Okay, let's talk about different glasses. One of the things that everyone's talking about is smart glasses. I don't believe smart glasses are a form of VR. They have a lot of the same shared technology, hand tracking, voice input, and more importantly, they're the first devices that will actually use the camera to look outward and examine the scene. How's this going to impact VR and AR in the future? Because everyone wants the Tony Stark experience. They want their VR glasses to look like that. And it's going to be at least 10 years before it looks anything like that.
So, I feel like when AR was first becoming a thing, once we had pass-through, once we had, spatial tracking and stuff like that, it was still very much so, we're doing a virtual reality game, and we're putting it into your room, into your space, right? When you have something like glasses, you're constantly on the move. That's a little bit different. It's more so of trying to project that virtual space into the world in general. And I think that what we're seeing now is we're seeing a split with the wearables of much lighter, hey, seeing the notifications pop up, maybe, a use case I feel like we all throw around is, hey, you're getting directions, it's going to show you the arrows on the road. And those are all much smaller in terms of the experience that you get, but it's just small additions to the real world. And then meanwhile in VR, we continue to have these, really big immersive experiences where that's kind of the focus, especially the AAA focus has been in the past 2 years, very large, very immersive, slap an IP on there. We had Deadpool, we had Batman, try and do something like that. And I feel like now that we have two different devices, two different use cases, we're going to continue to see that divide further and further and further to the point where you might have a VR headset and you might have a pair of wearable glasses to actually go out into the world with the wearable glasses, and at home you're using the VR headset for the bigger experiences.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I have to echo that. I think the Vision Pro is going to be our last, both both directions headset in terms of taking over your space and being a mixed reality, augmented reality device. I think we're going to go strong, like big screen VRs, molded to your face, lightweight movie watching experience, or like maybe Valve will come up with something, some kind of like perfect gaming experience thing, like really like pick one pillar and nail it, and then smart glasses can pick a different pillar and nail it, and then we won't have like, the Quest 2 that tried to do everything and kind of did most of it, some of it pretty well, but like a lot of it maybe not as well.
This means
Talk
we're
to a little
gonna-
bit closer to the microphone, please.
This means we're going to bifurcate the products into VR, really VR devices, and then how would you describe the Ray-Bans?
I like the term wearable because in some ways you could take out the glass part of it and still have 90% of the
So
functionality.
there you go.
It would be preferable if they can like adjust to your prescription.
Oh, yeah.
if
Yeah, yeah.
anything. Okay, they actually do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, okay, cool.
Like the X-Real 1 Pro, you can put this prescription lenses
Mm-hmm.
inside of it. And it has some augmented reality features. It can track planes.
MetaQuest 3 does that too. This
Yeah.
prescription lenses.
My Vision Pro has the prescription.
I'm going to mention Apple Vision Pro one more time, and then we can forget about it. Why did it fail, or did it fail? Because it was never intended to be a mass market. It was intended to be a proof of technology, and in that sense, it succeeded. But was it a good thing or a bad thing? Because it gave us a taste of things we can't have, or at least we can't. When you get a piece of hardware out there, it can only be a success if there's a lot of software. And people who wrote the software weren't going to write the software because there wasn't enough of them out there to make money off of it. So it's a catch-22.
I mean, first, it failed because of the price.
Yeah.
Like,
High entry cost
period.
is going to be an aversion.
There. But as an output, as like a consumption device, as a big screen in your home, it's incredible. The courtside NBA streaming 3D is just astounding. Being able to watch something like Avatar in 3D and at a large screen is astounding. When I took my university's headset and brought it home and watched Avatar, what else are we going to do with it? Which is the second part of that sentence, which is what else are we going to do about it? It is one way. It is incredible output, and the input, it's an iPad. It's an iPad with a flat user interface and all, and a bunch of square app icons that are flat and not in any way spatial, and you have to like scroll left and right on a constrained panel in front of you. It doesn't make any sense. There's no imagination, no user experience design. The screen and iPad designers made the Vision Pro interface, and it's terrible.
All you need to do to make it complete is port Doom to it. And if you think about it, it already has been ported to this device.
It should
I'd
be
be
done by
so
now.
surprised if Doom wasn't already on VR headsets somehow.
Oh, it is, yeah.
You know, it has to.
Okay, enough about the Apple
Oh, I have a
Vision.
question.
I will like to disagree with you in one sense. Remember the Quest came out with the, what was the one before the 3, the high def?
The Quest Pro,
The Quest
another
Pro.
device I am
That
one
was
of
the one
8
that-
people who own.
Yeah, were extremely expensive, and luckily I got one for various reasons, but it was also high-end. They will not pay that price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're seeing sometimes it introduced that way as a way of introducing the technology and testing it. So we may still get high-end prices.
Yeah, we made a bunch of eye tracking stuff, and then they didn't put eye tracking in the 3, and we.
Which is my next question. One of the technologies they promised was eye tracking. There is eye tracking in a number of devices out there. No one really uses it. They thought this was going to be revolutionary. You look at something, now Apple is part of the US, the UI, tracking it, but they were going to do more than that, and nothing's ever happened. Quest has eye tracking, they don't use it.
Well, we have foveated rendering too,
Yeah.
which is on the PSVR 2 and then on the new Steam headsets. I forget.
Please explain that what that is.
So basically, it helps to save graphical power, to my understanding.
That's
Put this in
exactly
very
right.
non-technical terms, by focusing more pixels on where you're actually looking. So if you're looking on the top left-hand side of your headset, that's going to be more high def versus everything else out of your vision, which is going to be slightly low def. And it can do that on the fly.
It also does it prioritized, so instead of rendering the whole screen slowly, where you're looking at get rendered first,
Yeah.
and then the edges get rendered. And by doing it that way, you rarely don't notice it's happening.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, again, as we make this transition into smaller, lighter devices, maybe that we're wearing constantly, something like that where you can save, needing to have all that hardware all at once, that's been a solid use case. As far as, allowing developers to use that within their games, who knows? Again, a lot of it does end up getting driven by VR chat, so I know that that gets used a lot there.
Yeah, the puppetry and driving puppets and gesture and performance of it. Not so much eye contact, but just the ability to emote and express more naturally in those environments has been a boon.
Speaking of VR chat, like there has been like a couple. Oh fuck! Fuck! I hate. Oh right.
We'll
Fuck.
share.
Okay.
Okay, speaking of VR chat, there were like a couple of programs or like assets that can be used to make like magic circles and spells with like hand gestures. I think that's a pretty interesting thing.
I agree. Let's talk about something different. Sorry about the space. Meta pushed the metaverse. They wanted everyone to be cartoon characters. Yes. I can reasonably say I don't think anyone will disagree that it has not been a big success. Will it ever be a success, or do people really want to have an avatar, in the use of the term, in a meta world, or do they want to do like Apple Vision Pro did with more of the vision of pictures of your face and reality? What's going to happen? This is coming up in the next year, and it's going to be important.
We have VR chat.
So this past year, Meta cut their budget by 30%.
Yeah. Before answering your question about embodiment and identity, Meta's metaverse and Horizon Worlds in particular just needs to die. Yeah. If anyone here has the Meta app, I almost said Quest app. If anyone here has the Oculus app on their phone, go look at the store, go look at the homepage, and tell me what is getting pulled. What is getting promoted? Is it apps by actual developers trying to make a living on Meta's platform, or is it like IP infringing, a 14-year-old Meta Horizon Worlds slop garbage, and that they're going to put in a banner above actual like real content that actual developers are trying to like, hey Meta, we want to have our entire income be built on this marketplace that you're going to support, and Meta is pushing Horizon Worlds above all of that, and they need to stop now and abandon it for the industry, please. Please.
Just die.
Just die. Just pull the Band-Aid.
Well,
It's fine.
and it's even worse when we have these developers who are already struggling. They're already going after a much reduced part of the market, right? It's no longer just everyone who has a cell phone. It's, the small sliver that has VR headsets. Some kid comes in and, makes a free version of a paid game and names it, free Rumble or something like that, or free boxing, and puts it on Horizon Worlds. It doesn't matter if it's good. They'll go ahead and use it because it's free, and then that also is mostly going to be a negative experience for your first end users. And if that's the first games they're seeing, then that's going to drive people away from the platform. And I think if nothing else, VR absolutely has that retention problem.
Yeah, you pull the app out and it's like, hey, this is what VR can do, and it shows you the worst Horizon World slop. And when you're going to put the headset down, you're never going to pick it up again.
Yeah, to me, I think the metaverse idea is just old concept from day one, right? Because we had the MMORPG, these kind of games, like long time ago, and what's the difference? Fundamentally, well, there may be some difference, like if you can really leverage the capabilities of virtual reality and the immersiveness of virtual reality really well to create some killer apps out of it, but it doesn't seem to happen.
I hadn't thought of that, Craig. But
yeah.
You're right, because in a lot of ways, ignoring the 3D element of it, the actual interface looks a lot like some of the graphical chats we had during the 90s and the
Right,
AOL
exactly.
days.
Yeah.
Habitactics and all, some of the, and that stuff was all the way back in the late 80s and beginning 90s.
Yeah.
It really hasn't changed very much.
But then you have the cumbersome of putting on the headset and, learning the new interaction, new experience. So unless the advantages, the benefits brought about by the technology really justified it, otherwise it's not going to scale.
We've done a pretty good job of bashing Meta and Apple,
Yeah.
but it's still a one-pony game right now. Meta is. The PSVR for quite a time was the #1 VR device out there, and has dropped in numbers considerably. So as both a software developer and as a user, is there any really viable other solution in the United States, different in China and overseas, but in the United States, is there any other alternative in the next year besides Meta's Quest?
Well, this panel last year, we talked about web VR, and I was very excited about what it would do in the next year. And now I'm here, and none of that happened. In part because
Hopefully your
of companies
predictions
like,
this year will be better.
in part because of companies like Apple not supporting it on Safari or whatever.
Yeah, it's slow for adoption, like the XR standard.
I mean, we have to mention Android XR exists now and copied Apple's homework and did a bad job also.
Excuse me, these are all software solutions though. What about hardware? They will do no good unless you have hardware.
Maybe Steam will do something this year, if anything. We've got the Gabe Cube that is supposed to be coming out this year. Yeah.
That's the first time I heard it called that.
I'm cautiously optimistic about the frame. I'm very optimistic about the frame. I've been burned so many times before, but once again, I am optimistic about this new VR device.
I mean, if the Steam Deck, how successful is the Steam Deck? Pretty, very?
Yeah,
Okay.
very.
All right, then I'm hoping that their other hardware would be up there too.
Maybe that's what they're doing, is producing hardware with the ability to demo features and waiting for someone to pick it up and develop software that's that utilizes them to the extent that the popular
Like the index, the index was originally.
Yep.
Speaking of PC VR, we have the big screen too, which is a very unique style of headset where you have to literally send in the scan of your face and it's just like that. I still view that as a very niche use case only because you're still tying yourself to a physical machine. The most exciting thing about the Steam Frame, yes, that's what it's called, is that it is all on the headset itself and opens you up to everything PC VR without going through Meta's ecosystem. So I think that if anything's going to take on and bring some more spirit into the VR market, it's going to be the Steam Frame.
That's a good point. It has to be untethered, and it has to be avoid the obvious coercion of marketing.
Related to that, of course, is Meta's announcement to kill the shared or Horizon OS, which was going to be the VR OS that other people could use. Acer and a couple other companies were really upset because they were designing hardware based on the idea that Meta would provide the software. Well, it's not going to happen now. And is that bad for the industry? I can't help thinking it is.
I have a funny feeling that a lot of these companies are sitting back and scheming ways to leverage the generative AI, because the interest in that and popularity of generative AI is just exploding through the roof. And if someone can come up with a hardware device that that accommodates some use case for generative AI, I think that they can make that popular and make a lot of money, because it's all about the money. One more side answer to that is is LiDAR. Has been 3D scanning technologies have been really getting a lot cheaper recently, and companies making projectors with scanners in the front to do like automated projection mapping. There's a few, Lightform, I think it was, died a few years ago. They were too soon. A lot of this tech, I expect to see that coming back in more bespoke forms this year. Probably not like a.
I'm going to do a counter to that. With the recent advancements in object identification and AI, I'm not sure we need LiDAR. LiDAR is a sensor to actually physically know the location. We're getting so good with the object identification that we can take pictures of things from a distance without LiDAR and still get 3D models out of it. So that may replace LiDAR.
That and stuff like Gaussian splatting, where, hey, you take 3-4 photos, you plug it into an AI model, and then it gives you maybe not a total 3D model, but absolutely something that you can walk around in. It's easy enough that actually Niantic, the company that made Pokemon Go, I forget the specific name, I'll look it up right now, but they essentially have a Gaussian splat database where folks can go into certain locations, go ahead, take pictures of certain things, and then you're presented with a map, basically like a Google Earth, and you can go into any of these locations and walk around the 3D environments in the Gaussian splat. So, I mean, that's becoming, again, the technology is as easy as the phone in your pocket in order to get it in the headset too, which is a huge development.
And that's being used for one of my next questions, and that's one of the uses that has been a success. Besides education and games, one of the other few successes we have seen has been virtual reality tourism, where you put the glasses on and you go to places you never could see. The technology you saw for photographs can also be used on old-time photographs to go back in time to locations that no longer exist. Do you see a lot of this in the next year? I sure do.
A lot of this is being done with static imagery. I mean, it's 3D virtual you can navigate through it, but it's still static imagery. Now imagine if you used generative AI to create passers-by, tourists, other tourists,
Avatars.
moving NPCs, moving things in this scene, and you walk up to one of them and ask them, "Can you tell me where the Louvre is?" And he'll engage you in a conversation and tell you where the Louvre is. More of a dynamic space in virtual reality.
Yeah,
But that would only be possible with AI.
Yep. An example of it is a recent project we are doing at George Mason. It's an interesting collaboration with the apiary because we put a 360 camera in a beehive, so trying to capture from the perspective of a bee, what's the colony is like and what are the bees doing and where the queen is, what is the queen doing. So you can imagine, like, you have the 360 video and you can get immersed right in the center of the beehive in virtual reality. And one thing we are exploring, which is also about AI, is like how we can incorporate AI as a guide to help the person through understanding the environment, right? So like you may ask AI, hey, where are the bees and what are they doing? And when does the bee queen wake up and lay its eggs or whatever, right? So you can ask about all sorts of things like that, which would be amazing.
That comes up with an interesting problem that AI is working on right now, and that is, how do you label the bee? I mean, is it one bee, or is it all the bees, or is it many bees? Is it BA, BB, BC?
Yeah.
And if you have to enter commands or prompts to change the scene and change its understanding, you'd have to refer to the queen, the drone A, the drone B, the drone C, and so forth.
That's all either solvable or not solvable, but that's just an AI problem, not a VR problem. I've always resented the term tourism because tourism is something motivated by the people going on the trip. And why would I go on a virtual trip when I can go on a real one? But if we just flip it around and the people who have the place that you need to see that's inaccessible, like maybe you're a small university trying to get students to come to you and you're in the middle of nowhere in a upstate New York beautiful campus that you can't get to, make a virtual tour and show off that. If you flip it around to what can I show off that is otherwise inaccessible, that has always been sort of the strength of these elements.
We had a gentleman in the panel about 3 years ago. His job
Exactly.
was to go around the world to record in 360 and VR sites that will no longer be around, either for pollution, for politics, or physically just falling apart through age. So what a wonderful job to go around and record for all time. And I'm fascinated by that idea, because I'm sure there's many places in the world I'll never get to, and there's a chance for me to see it this way. There is another project out there who's completely digitized the old London, historical London, and you can walk around London. I forget the name of that project. Has anyone else seen it? I've seen it. Yeah, it's fascinating for being able to. There's a lot of pictures from that era, drawings and everything, and maps. It's well documented. And then you wander around in it. People think of using VR for like Star Wars and Star Trek and living in those worlds. There's plenty of places in the past we can go and visit too. We've been here about 2:30, about half hour, a little more. I'm going to open up to the audience a little bit now. Keep in mind the things we've been talking about.
I think I asked this last year, but I'd love to hear any updates about it. But what kind of solutions are being proposed for ultra low end VR to kind of replace the hole that Google Cardboard left?
There's going to be silence there.
A devastating silence appears.
The hottest item in VR you can go out for is try to get your hands on a Go for $99 to do low-end stuff. How many here buy microcars? My wife loves microcars. She can't buy them because they're no longer around. The industry doesn't want to sell the low-end ones because they don't make as much money. And that might be a little cynical, but I think it's true. They want the suite range of $399, and they have an argument there because the $399 can give you 6 directions of freedom, can give you a whole bunch of different things. A real low-end one hasn't pretty much improved beyond cardboard. Does anyone have a better prediction for next year than that?
I mean, for cardboard was used a lot in classroom environments, and those are getting phased out and replaced with like a single device that you bring and roll on a cart into
Yeah, but
the
you have
room
one
that's-
device for someone in the classroom, and the classroom has 30 people. With cardboard, 30 people could possibly have the devices, and very few classrooms can afford to have 30.
Yeah, we have like web AR now that you can use your cell phone and do AR with as well.
Yeah. Snapchat, Lens Studio.
There you go.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
That
Snapchat.
counts. That's VR.
David?
This one may be a bit of an ethos-related question, but this is one I've been wondering about myself for a long time now. Ever since the Valve Index and Steam have come out, and have at least proven they're more of an tech demo sphere of things, do any of you think it is possible that Valve could bring an actual competition in the VR and eventually AR markets or no?
Do we think that Valve can give a competition to the Meta Quest? That was kind of what my question was before, with Meta Quest is the one-horse race. Do you think Valve is ever going to come back from being so popular?
You want to go first?
In terms of competing marketplaces, I hope so. I hope it can get other marketplaces like the App Store and the terrible Meta Horizon Store to change their game, change their policies, change their deals with developers. In terms of otherwise, I'll pass the mic.
I was just saying what we mentioned before too, of like we see companies basically choosing a direction to go in right now. You know, full immersive VR experiences, or more of the wearables, the glasses, and that sort of thing. I think that Valve is going to be a very strong competitor because they're going to keep the focus on the games, the experiences, really providing that much of an experience, while Meta tries to split hairs and do everything all at once, and a lot of other companies focus more on the wearables and more on the AR.
I'd like to point out that most of the high-end games is written using Unity or Unreal. And by being written in Unity and Unreal, it's fairly easy to port between the platforms. It's the non-Unreal and Unity games that have a much more difficult time porting. So I don't think the Rift's going to have that much difference. Yes, the graphics will be more powerful, but the low-end graphics will still be able to run on a Quest and such. So I think the particulars that make Rift unique might not be as strong as you think.
Yeah. And the other thing on that too is, you know, hey, this is more to a, you know, Steam Deck, right? This is something that now Valve has had this Linux-ish device out here for a while. Exactly. The Meta Store is horrible to get onto. It's horrible to find stuff once it's on the Meta Store. Steam does not have that issue. Steam has a really good marketplace, has really good algorithms behind it that help people find the games they actually want to play. And even outside of the hardware, I think that by itself is going to make them a very strong competitor, especially when developers are sitting here and saying, what do I prioritize, PC VR or putting things on the Meta headset? In the past, you had to go with the Meta headset either way. Now it's a little bit less of a risk to go strictly for PC VR.
Any other questions out there? Gentleman here.
You mentioned Unity there. For the creators amongst us, do you still recommend learning Unity, Blender, or even contributing in other ways like the Gaussian splatting that you mentioned? What are the best ways to contribute as a creator?
I hate those tools, so I'm not answering this
It's
question.
I love Unity, actually. I love Unity because it's free, and I love Blender because it's free. And there's plenty of YouTube University out there for you to learn.
I think Unity has more documentation that you can like find anywhere, and it's just generally easier to follow. Unity is it is basically the program that I used to create my AR book.
Yeah.
Alongside the Vuforia SDK, but yeah.
I've surveyed every creation tool from Microsoft Marmoset to Shapes XR to Roblox to everything. Yeah, Shapes. Everything. And I still spend 2 months teaching my students Unity and Blender basics to get going in making before we even get the VR headsets on in like the intro class. I would love to take the first week and have it be, you know, go make a quick thing using this block environment, but they're just not transferable skills.
I don't think there's any expert out there who won't agree that the Unreal is more powerful than Unity on a certain level.
Either or.
But not very many people
Godot,
need that
Unreal,
level.
Unity, use any of them.
Unity is easier to work with. It's easier startup costs. So that is by far, if you're a AAA house and you have the time and energy to learn Unreal, they use that. But for
I think for his students, Hunter would like something like Scratch for
Yep.
for 3D.
But it's not there.
I wish we had something like HyperCard.
I mean, if it helps for Unreal, at the very least, it's open source.
Yes.
And ultimately free to use. While Unity, like, if you want to, like, have access to certain features, you may have to pay a subscription.
Oh, that's true.
Also, if you know C++, go for Unreal. If you know C#, then go for Unity.
Yeah, for students in my class, they also use Unity because they can quickly wrap up a project. They have lots of tools they can find from the asset store. Yeah, so there are lots of benefits for it. But you know, Unreal, of course, is better for higher performance applications. If you are looking for like creating very realistic simulation for training and stuff like that, then go for Unreal. Yeah.
Craig reflects everything I was just going to say, and that is that Unity is much easier to use, bigger bang for the buck. You can generate prototypes quickly and touch on a lot of different aspects like spatial sound and that sort of stuff. But Unreal Editor is, although difficult to use and difficult to learn, the results are just amazing. You have control over everything if you want control over it.
Unreal, Unity, Godot, those are all transferable skills. If you learn one, it'll be very easy to pick up the others. The more introductory tools try to apply their own simplified model on top of them that aren't transferable anymore, and then you're just going to have to go relearn everything again. So
Next question, because we covered this before. Gentleman, right there. Yes.
So it seems like simulation sickness is still a big barrier to adoption. Have there been any advancements?
Are you talking about nausea from simulation?
Yep.
Okay, yes. Most of the medical opinion is about 10 to 14% of everyone's going to be nauseated on VR, and there doesn't seem to be any improvement on there. There are some gadgets that have been used in the seasickness arena that are now being marketed as, CES just had that. You wear these devices and they give you little stimulants and you do better. And the software developers have learned tricks to make it less nauseated.
Well, and I think actually one of the biggest things for that is AR, right? Having the full pass through, being able to see your space around it and have the stuff in your space helps people out immensely when it comes to having that nausea. Mostly I view that as a design issue, right?
Yes.
If you design your game with exterior movement, you know, especially a lot of exterior movement, say you're porting something like, you know, Resident Evil 4, you know, this week when I was over in the VR zone, we got a lot of, wow, you know, after playing for an hour straight, now all of a sudden I feel a little bit queasy, you know, because it's all that exterior movement. Keeping your players in an actual grounded space, allowing them to see parts of the real world, that does reduce nausea significantly to the point where even now I tell people like, hey, try it again, right? Because you had a bad experience, but that bad experience was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? We've come so far, and that still drives a lot of people away because they had one or two bad experiences where maybe they felt ill after.
I haven't seen the latest stats. Even with all that there is a certain amount of people who get nausea no matter what.
both are true.
I believe that's closer to 5%, but that's, yeah, go ahead.
But the optics have really improved.
Yeah.
And if you haven't been in a newer VR headset, or you have a prescription and you haven't gotten the little prescription lenses, or if you don't bother getting your strap perfectly adjusted, and it's always a little bit wonky, like stop, spend the time, adjust it, get it perfect, get the lens inserts. It makes a massive difference. And once you're in that sweet spot, like the nausea you experience will significantly decrease. That's personal advice, not industry trends, though.
Your level of immersion has increased. It's gotten over hurdles so that you're no longer dealing with the attempt at making it immersive. You're actually believing now in the immersion. This can be done with something called cross-modal plasticity, where your eyes, or your ears, your sense of smell, and haptics all combine to form an illusion that's so great that your body can't deny it. Because all the
360
cues are there.
sounds went a long way to that. That helped. Gentleman there.
I want to loop back into the conversation about metaverse. Since you guys mentioned like metaverse could continue forward, right?
Horizon Worlds.
My question would be, will it? That's what you guys want, but will it actually stop? I'm inclined to ask that because from what I've noticed, is like back in November, Meta was throwing some filthy money into
Yeah.
that money is very tempting. So I think that was a very smart move because for a fraction of a cost, one, you are surveying the talent pool. Two, you're getting some products made for your platform. Three, you get to see users' responses to those products. And four, in a month's time. That is really, really smart. Now, granted, yes, Meta has the funding for the in-house metaverse team, but maybe not so if you look at it from a social play perspective. Which brings me to talk about a little bit about social play because from what I've seen, Roblox, Minecraft, and Fortnite maps, they are a force right now. That we cannot deny.
Yeah.
No.
So
No, yeah.
I feel like if Meta starts tapping into that social play, sure, VR chat is around, but Meta has that ability to break out of the gaming space to bring something like VR chat to something outside of gaming.
That was an incredibly complex question, along with a lot of statement there, and I'm not going to repeat for the recording. So let's just talk
Yeah.
about the core of that, about whether or not that Meta will have something to oppose it, because if it's the only thing around there, Metaverse is the only thing there, it's going to succeed. What do we have to replace it?
Meta is desperate to compete with Fortnite, with Roblox, with those other successful children's metaverse, I guess, social platforms. So I don't think they're going to
Building tools, call them that,
Yeah.
because that's what Minecraft is. You can design.
Well, and you can install mods. Roblox, obviously, you can build your own games. Even in Fortnite, you have these big experiences where you can bring your friends in too. And I mean, that really, like we were saying before, the metaverse existed as soon as we had IM chats, and we were able to all log in at the same time and be in the same virtual location. As far as that goes, just to kind of bounce off that question too, a lot of the VR market right now is children. Nearly a concerning amount, in my personal opinion. But a lot of us are very enthusiastic about the tech. They're more so enthusiastic about the
I hadn't realized
experiences
that.
themselves.
What numbers can you quote?
Let me find some.
a lot.
Okay. Thank you for that question.
Yeah.
What hardware feature do you think any headset in 2026 should have? And if you play VR chat, does that influence your decisions?
That's a really good question.
Every headset should come with multiple strap types, adjustable strap types, replaceable straps. We shouldn't be stuck with the strap decision being the main ergonomic thing, and period.
Prescription lenses.
I think every hardware out there should have a controller, even if you don't need to use it all the time or design it. One of my complaints about the Apple Vision Pro is there is no pointer, because pointering is very useful for a lot of interfaces. Besides just shooting guns for type stuffs, there are times when you need a real exact point. I wish there was a device like that. So I would want to see, no matter what is out there, hand tracking, fantastic. Controlling, moving around, that's fantastic. Other times, controller when I need it, and being able to switch seamlessly in the OS. I wish there was that.
Yeah,
We don't have it.
I 100% agree with that, because I remember I used the HoloLens,
Yes.
Microsoft HoloLens, for research at the lab. And HoloLens once comes with a clicker. It's just a very simple controller with one button, but that really makes a huge difference. Like HoloLens 2, they don't have that anymore. They just totally rely on the hand tracking, and a lot of time the users complain that it's really hard to control, really hard to learn how to interact, and so on. Yeah, and it's very tiring too.
Strange answer, but Bluetooth support, keyboard support, alternate controller support, and then hopefully opening the way towards other input devices that aren't just whatever they
controller
make.
support. That's a big nit for me to pick, because I have a disability, and I can't play Doom and Quake in first-person shooters anymore, at least not effectively. So alternative controllers, alternative output devices.
And of course, the standard for this, right now, most of the devices have to be for that platform. There were some attempts, mostly out of China, to have standardization, and it hasn't really developed as much.
Yeah, I bought the MX Ink stylus for Quest and the MX Ink stylus for Vision Pro.
Okay, sorry about that. Next question. Gentleman right in the back there. I'm sorry, I meant the middle back, then I'll take the far back. Apologies.
So you all were talking about like the future of VR headsets. I know with like AI data centers like gobbling up a lot of hardware, like the price of RAM in like the past like 6 to 8 months has like tripled. Do you think that's gonna like harm the future of like VR headset development with the price of hardware going up so much?
Well, the interesting thing is that the current hardware we have, right? The Quest 3, you could honestly compare to your smartphone. It doesn't take a ton of, obviously for the higher scale experiences, right? You can go as high as you want to have the full immersive experience. But for your normal game, and especially with the developers that are currently in the market working on these games, it's more so a focus on the mechanics and the functionality, leveraging that existing technology over, high graphical fidelity. So obviously, especially with the Steam frame, I'm worried about it, right? Because, hey, that's a brand new device. You're building up that supply chain, and, making sure that you can maintain that supply chain is difficult. That's why Meta can sell a headset at $300, is because they've already built up all that over the past 10 years. But whether or not that's going to cause shortages in the VR market, I don't think so. If anything, it might drive people to pick up VR more as the console market, the actual desktop PC market, starts to get even more and more expensive.
Gentleman in the back, you had a question?
So what would you say that for upcoming games, if I told someone that they should get into VR gaming, what would be like the most accessible, and by accessible I mean like
Okay, we're assuming the person's buying the VR for gaming. What was the hardware you would recommend right now?
The hardware or the games?
Oh, what game to recommend?
This is a good question.
This is your guys more than me.
Laser Dance. Thomas Van Buell coming out with Laser Dance. Person made Cubism, produced by Creature. You're a spy running through a bunch of lasers, and you're dipping and dodging and ducking around. It's coming. It's in early access right now.
It looks really fun. I've seen the commercials for it.
And it's simple.
I'm going to rate Spatial Ops because we finally got an augmented reality shoot 'em up that looks good. That's the first one I've seen that has all the promise. Now, of course, you got to find an arena to fight it in and get your friends to all have glasses. But if you do that, you're doing something that's basically laser tag in a very fancy laser tag arena.
I'm going to throw out Orion Drift, which was made by the Gorilla Tag developers. It's like the next iteration of it. It is a soccer, but Gorilla Tag mechanics, and also you can fly. So for those of you who played Echo VR, it's like a cross between that and Gorilla Tag, but they continue to iterate on the mechanics. And it's like every week it seems like they introduce a brand new game mode. So that's like a whole comprehensive experience, and it's entirely free to play.
If we're saying not upcoming games, Starship Home, which I'm very biased to that, in my opinion. I worked on filming some of those trailers. And DeMeo. DeMeo has been doing some really interesting, slow, steady improvement.
And they just had their Dungeons and Dragons expansion, a brand new game.
I'm going to ask a quick question here. If someone's starting out in VR, what games would you recommend? I have already mentioned Beat Saber as a great starting game. What 1 or 2 games would you recommend to get them in knowing what you can do?
Open Brush.
That's a good
Beat
one.
Saber.
Game from my company, Battle of Nowhere. It's like an arcade-style shooting game. It's easy to pick up.
We're going to stop the questions right now and from the audience. If we have questions afterwards, we'll be happy to talk. We have about 5 more minutes. What are we going to see in the next year that you're really excited about? I'm excited about the possibilities of the AR devices from everyone being able to look out and being able to identify objects using AI.
I'm really excited for, obviously, the Steam Frame. I'm also excited just for more developers to get into the game. I feel like the Steam Frame is going to be what gets a lot of developers to participate in that side of the market. So hopefully next year is going to be a really good year for VR.
How can I find out more?
Steam Frame?
Yeah.
Oh. Let me look it up.
I've got a resource, sort of. There's a different sort of convention called the Chaos Computer Club, and they put out a video on X, which is their x86 to ARM x86 translation layers, sort of a la Apple's Rosetta 2, and that's more of a technical talk, so that may interest some people.
Okay.
That's on YouTube.
I'm excited about projectors and sensors and things that aren't attached to my face in the upcoming year.
I am excited about a highly intelligent and conversational agents powered by LLM in virtual reality or augmented reality, because I think this is something that is really lacking for decades. Like you have NPCs, you have characters, but usually they are scripted in terms of behaviors, in terms of conversations. So
And they're non-interactive.
non-interactive, right? So not because people haven't thought about creating that. It's just that the limit of the technology and the content creation technologies just don't allow creating such thing at scale.
I'm definitely with Craig on this one. The generative AI and the agency. If you give a brick agency, they used to say, Jim Henson used to say, the creator of the Muppets, would say, he can make anything come to life if you just give it eyes. And that's very true. If there's some kind of intelligence behind those eyes, some agency there, then you can fool anybody into thinking, or it doesn't matter if you fool them, you give the semblance of life and cognition behind that face. And that's something that I think we're lacking in virtual reality and computing in general.
Who else has an answer question? What do you see?
I have a question. I'm really excited about like the AI wearable glass, the AR wearable glasses, and AI, multimodal AI.
Sorry.
I think with the further development of smart glasses, AR will at least rise further in prominence, even though I still feel that mobile devices will generally be the best way forward. Sorry.
So you think the smart glasses, while not being what we'd call VR, is going to help the VR community to raise the awareness? I'll agree with that. Okay. We still got a couple more minutes here. What are we missing? Why hasn't VR become the promised hope that we've been hoping for 20 years now? What have we missed?
Open standards.
Open standards, really entry costs. Technology as a whole just keeps going on general side quests. A couple years ago, we've had crypto. Some time ago, we've had NFTs. The past 2 years or so have been AI. And who knows where we're going next, basically.
I mean, Mark Zuckerberg, a single person can change their opinion or change the direction of one company and have a massive waves and ripples into our industry, which we don't love.
Progress is not a straight line, I guess.
Anyone else?
I mean, open connections, the ability to use any hardware with any device, the ability to use any controller with any headset, with any speakers, the ability to use any software platform. We need these tools. Otherwise, we're stuck. Because of Apple's bad strap, it makes an incredible display worse, and tools like that. We need to be able to swap these components around, swap the hardware around, swap the software features around.
So to talk through, why it hasn't been mass adopted too, going back earlier in this panel, 36% of VR users are between the ages of 16 and 24. If you include all the way up to 35, that's about 65, 70%. So I think over time, as this next generation continues to grow up with VR as, something that they are just used to seeing their friends in, I think we're going to see a lot of slow adoption, and then again, as soon as our tech overlords decide that it's what they want to focus on, then expect everything to explode really quickly.
Okay, I think we're going to have to shut down now. The gentleman in back is waving his sign. Thank you for coming. We always enjoy this talk. We'd like to hear what you guys want to say, and we'd like to share our opinions. We have dinner on Friday night and bang our heads together then and talk about these things. So this is very important to all of us. Please stick around if you want to talk with us, and if otherwise, have a great rest of the con next hour or so.
Let's get group photos.
Yeah.
Safe travels.
Thank you for coming.